There comes a time in life when you start questioning everything. Your job, your friends, your direction. You wonder, am I doing the right thing? Am I headed the right way? And in those quiet moments when the world gets still, you can feel it. Something deep inside pulling you forward. Listen to me. Just because the path is hard doesn't mean it's wrong. And just because people don't see your vision doesn't mean it isn't real. Today, I want to share with you 5 powerful signs that you are, in fact, on the right path, even if it doesn't look like it yet. Because sometimes the struggle is the signal and the pain is the proof. Let's break it down. Because your breakthrough might be closer than you think you know. One of the clearest signs that you're on the right path is when you feel uncomfortable, but something inside you keeps pushing you forward anyway. It's that strange mix of fear and drive, of being nervous and yet deeply motivated. You might not have all the answers. You might wake up with a pit in your stomach, but you still take the next step. That's not failure. That's not weakness. That's transformation. See, we've been conditioned to believe that the right path should feel smooth, that everything should fall into place neatly. But that's not how growth works. Real growth, the kind that changes your life, feels uncomfortable. It feels messy. It feels uncertain. And yet, there's a fire that keeps burning inside of you. That fire is your purpose calling you higher. And when you're on the right path, that fire doesn't go out. It gets stronger, even in the face of obstacles. You may look around and not see a clear destination. The money might not be coming in yet. A recognition might still be far away. People may not understand your decisions, and that can be lonely. That can be scary. But discomfort is a sign that you're moving beyond who you were, stretching into someone you've never been. That discomfort is the space where the old you starts to fade, and the new you begins to rise. And here's what's wild. The more uncomfortable it gets, the more alive you feel. Because deep down, you know you're not settling anymore. You're not shrinking to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. You're finally stepping into the version of yourself that's been buried under fear, under doubt, under limitation. It's not easy, but it's necessary. That's why discomfort is not your enemy. It's your compass. It's pointing you in the direction of your growth. It's proof that you're no longer standing still. So the next time you feel nervous, uncertain, or stretched, don't back down. Don't run. Lean into it. Because you're not breaking down, you're breaking through. And if you're feeling all that right now, that means you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Another powerful sign that you're on the right path is when your actions begin to align with your core values. You may not even notice it at first. It's subtle, but one day you look at your life and realize you're no longer pretending. You're no longer compromising who you are to fit in, to please others, or to survive. Instead, you're making choices that reflect what matters most to you. That's not just success, that's integrity. And integrity is the foundation of a meaningful life. See, too many people chase goals that look good on paper, feel wrong in their soul. They wake up with money in the bank, with titles on the wall, and still feel empty. Why? Because success without alignment leads to burnout. It leads to bitterness. But when you're aligned, when your decisions match your beliefs, when your goals are rooted in your purpose, you feel something deeper. You feel peace, and that peace is powerful. It doesn't mean the road gets easier, but it does mean you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop living by someone else's standards and start listening to your own inner voice. That's when everything starts to shift. You may not have all the resources yet, but you have clarity. You may still have doubt, but you also have direction. It's not about being perfect. It's about being true. When you're alive, you start saying a no to things that drain you and yes to things that fulfill you, even if they scare you. You start surrounding yourself with people who reflect your values instead of your insecurities. You walk away from what's familiar because your spirit knows it's time for more. That's alignment. That's power. And here's the beauty of it. When you live in alignment, you don't have to force opportunities. They come to you. Because the world responds to authenticity. The right people, the right moments, the right breakthroughs. They recognize when someone is walking in truth. So if you feel that inner calm, even in the middle of chaos, if you know in your gut that your actions are finally matching your heart, take that as your confirmation. You're not just making progress, you're walking in purpose. Another undeniable sign you're on the right path is when obstacles keep showing up, but you keep showing up too. You face challenge after challenge, and somehow you keep moving forward. It's not that life has suddenly gotten easier. It hasn't. In fact, it might feel like the pressure has increased. But here's what's different. You've stopped running from the struggle. You've stopped asking, oh, why me? And started declaring it, try me. Because when you're on the wrong path, resistance wears you down. It drains you. But when you're on the right one, resistance refines. It sharpens your character. It builds something unshakable inside you. Every obstacle becomes a teacher. Every setback becomes a setup. And every delay becomes preparation. You don't quit because it's hard. You rise because it's worth it. Think about it. Anything meaningful you've ever achieved came with resistance. That's because elevation always demands endurance. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. Life isn't testing you because you're weak. It's testing you because you're worthy. And you know what? If the dream wasn't real, the enemy wouldn't be fighting you so hard. The presence of pressure is often the clearest sign that your breakthrough is near. But here's what separates those who stay stuck from those who succeed. It's not talent, not luck, not resources. It's the decision to keep going when it would be easier to give up. Every time you face resistance and keep pushing, you build mental muscle, emotional stamina, spiritual depth. You become more than just a dreamer. You become a doer. And that is what transforms your life. So the next time life pushes back, don't panic. Pause, reflect, and then push harder. Because the storm you're in is not meant to stop you, it's meant to strengthen you. You are growing through what you're going through. If you're still moving, even with the weight of doubt, fear, and failure on your shoulders, hear me clearly. That's not weakness. That's proof. You're not being broken, you're being built. Keep going. Another sign you're on the right path is when you begin to outgrow your old circles. The conversations that once excited you start to feel shallow. The people you used to spend hours with. Suddenly you can't relate to them the same way. It's not because you're better than anyone else. It's because your mindset, your vision, and your energy are shifting. And with that growth comes a necessary shedding. See, not everyone is meant to walk with you into your next level. Some people were only assigned to a season, not a lifetime. And when you're on the right path, you start recognizing that. You start feeling the disconnect. The jokes don't hit the same. The gossip drains you. The small talk exhausts you. That's not arrogance. That's awareness. Your soul knows it's time to elevate, and yes, that can feel lonely at first. You might miss the comfort of the familiar. You might even second-guess yourself. But I promise you, it's a sacred sign that you're evolving. When you're committed to growth, the universe will remove distractions disguised as relationships. You'll stop chasing validation from people who never saw your worth in the first place. You'll start craving depth, purpose, and alignment. Here's what's real. Your environment either feeds your future or starves it. And when you're on the right path, you become more protective of your peace. You begin to prioritize who you let into your space. You're not just looking for people to hang out with anymore. You're looking for people who challenge you, who inspire you, who see your potential and call you higher. Don't resist that shift. Don't cling to people just because they've been around for a long time. Longevity doesn't equal loyalty to your purpose. Some people can't come with you, not because they're bad, but because they're not built for where you're going. And that's okay. So if you're noticing that you no longer fit where you used to belong, take that as confirmation. You're growing. You're elevating. And that means you're getting closer to the life you were meant to live. Another powerful sign you're on the right path is when you start falling in love with the journey, not just the destination. You're not just chasing a result anymore. You're waking up with purpose, feeling a quiet excitement, even when things are uncertain. That's because something inside you has shifted. You're no longer rushing through the process. You're learning from it, growing through it, and winning because of it. See, when you're misaligned, you treat the journey like a burden. You obsess over how long it's taking. You get frustrated when success doesn't come fast enough. But when you're on the right path, even the slow days feel meaningful. The setbacks don't break you. You start to realize that every part of the process has value, not just the outcome. And that mindset, that level of awareness is a sign of true purpose. It doesn't mean you won't get tired. It doesn't mean you won't have moments of doubt. But the difference is, you no longer measure your worth by how fast you're progressing. You measure it by how deeply you're connected to the work, how much you're learning, how far you've come. That's when the game changes. Because now it's not just about what you're building. It's about who you're becoming in the process. You start showing up differently, more present, more intentional, more grateful. You begin to recognize the beauty in the struggle, the meaning in the mundane, and the strength that's being developed in the quiet moments no one sees. You stop chasing shortcuts and start embracing the long road, because you know that the long road leads to lasting change. And here's what's beautiful. When you fall in love with the journey, the destination becomes inevitable. You don't have to force it. You don't have to beg for it. You're becoming the kind of person who attracts the life you're after because you've already stepped into the mindset, the discipline, and the heart it requires. So if you find yourself smiling in the middle of the storm, if you feel peace even while waiting for the promise, trust that. It means you're not just chasing a dream, you're walking in purpose. There's one more sign, quiet but powerful, that you're on the right path. You feel a deep inner knowing. It's not loud, it's not something you can always explain to others. But deep in your spirit, there's a voice that whispers, I keep going. Even when things don't make sense, even when the evidence doesn't match the vision, even when the world tells you to quit. There's something inside that refuses to let you walk away. That inner knowing isn't based on logic. It's not based on what you see. It's based on what you sense. And it usually shows up when you're in the middle of uncertainty, when everything around you looks like it's falling apart, but your heart says you're getting closer. That voice inside you is the part of you that's connected to your purpose, to your calling. It knows the path even when your mind doubts it. And when you're on the right path, that voice gets stronger. You start recognizing it during the quiet moments, when you're working late and no one's watching, when you're tired but still show up, when you're discouraged but something tells you to try again. It's not hype, it's not adrenaline, it's faith. And that kind of faith doesn't need applause. It doesn't need validation, it just needs commitment. This knowing doesn't come from ego. It comes from alignment. It's the result of doing the inner work, facing your fears, honoring your values, and showing up with integrity. The more you stay in that space, the clearer that voice becomes. And no matter what obstacles come your way, you start trusting that you're being guided, even if the path looks nothing like what you expected. Sometimes the world will call you crazy for believing in something they can't see. But when you have that inner knowing, you don't need the world's approval. You have your own. That's when you become unstoppable. Because now your confidence isn't rooted in outcomes. It's rooted in truth. So if you feel that quiet certainty, if there's a part of you that just knows this is where you're supposed to be, even if it doesn't look like much right now, trust it. You're not lost. You're not late. You're aligned. Keep walking. So let me leave you with this. If you've been wondering whether you're on the right path, I want you to look beyond the surface. Look beyond what the world calls success. Because the signs are not always flashy. They're often quiet, personal, and deeply rooted in your soul. If you feel uncomfortable but driven, if your actions are finally lining up with your values, if obstacles are showing up but you keep pushing forward anyway, if you've started to outgrow your old circles and crave something deeper, if you find joy in the process, not just the outcome, and if there's a quiet voice inside you that says, keep going, even when nothing makes sense, you're not lost, you're not broken, you're becoming. The right path isn't always easy. It won't always be understood, but it will always grow you. It will stretch you, challenge you, and call you to become more than you ever thought possible. And that's how you know it's yours. So trust the process, trust your path, and most of all, trust yourself, because everything you're becoming is already inside you. You're not waiting to be chosen. You've already been called. Now walk like it.